How do chickens open their eggs?
As in hatch?
Yeah.
When kids formulate their own questions, they're questions that make sense to them from their life experiences and their backgrounds.
What habitat requirements do the chicks need to live?
Because I use student questions to drive scientific investigations, my students feel that the unit goes in a direction that makes sense to them.
How does the shell form inside the chicken, maybe?
And when the students are the ones coming up with the questions about what we should figure out, they feel empowered to learn and empowered to be curious, just like a real scientist would. So your goal is to get a lot of questions, because what are our questions going to turn into?
Experiments.
This unit is us trying to figure out the body, cells, and systems. And we try to figure out how an embryo and an egg develops over time, and why in some eggs an embryo does not develop.
Yesterday we watched videos about chickens and eggs hatching, and we basically came up with questions. And then later on, as we move on, we'll find experiments to solve those questions.
So I'll probably give you about 7-ish minutes to just brain dump with your partner all of those questions that you can think of.
I think our curiosity is important to our own class, because everybody comes with different background perspectives, and when everybody's together with different questions, we can get more ideas.
Heat involved with it.
They spend some time asking questions, categorizing, revising, and finally prioritizing their questions. And then we organize our questions onto a driving question board so that we can work towards coming up with investigation ideas.
How long does it take for an egg to hatch in a barn compared to an incubator?
So can you tell us what category you might be starting?
Temperature.
Okay, temperature 1.
Does heat and cold have an effect on the chick developing?
And those ideas are ideally coming from the students rather than the teacher alone. So table 1, your categories are going to be the light category, and when we break up into groups, they're going to work together as a group and collaborate and come up with investigation ideas around the questions in that assigned category.
I think it's really good to have the students come up with the investigation so the teachers can also find out what the students are wondering. And if there's a good investigation that can apply to the phenomenon that we're learning, then the teacher will obviously take that into consideration and we could actually be able to make it come to life.
Basically, we can do simulation where there's an egg, and we can kind of change the time.
Some of the ideas students were saying today were being able to do simulations where they could control the different temperatures around an egg or control the time of what's happening in the egg. So I thought that those were really great ideas. Some students brought up looking at time-lapse photos of the inside of an egg.
We said we could do an experiment by putting an egg up to the light and seeing if there's a chick or a yolk in there.
Now, if we do this, Lexi and Ashley, what would we need in this classroom?
Eggs.
So the big reveal is that we actually are going to hatch and raise chicks in the classroom because students do have extremely valid scientific reasons as to why we should do this project together. Tomorrow, we're gonna find out how to care for them. So we're ready, okay.
Got some very exciting news at the end of class that we'd actually be getting chick eggs that we'd be going along with for the rest of this phenomenon.
I love for things to be as student-led as possible. Scientists pose questions, scientists come up with investigation ideas, and scientists collect information, and that's exactly what we're gonna be doing in the classroom. And it's extremely powerful when a student comes up with that idea, internalizes it, adds to it in their own way, and actually follows through with it, and the science becomes theirs, and that's a great way to produce that inquiry in your classroom.